Everybody can hear me okay? All right, perfect. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much, Atlanta Tech Village, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My name is James Oliver Jr., and today we're going to be talking about how to be an effective parentpreneur by social distancing. What is a parentpreneur? Presumably, many of you here listening today and joining us today are parentpreneurs and understand exactly what that is, but it's weird because sometimes people go, well, what is a parentpreneur? Well, it's exactly what you think it is. It's somebody who's a parent and an entrepreneur. It's a parentpreneur. So why does this workshop matter? I mean, this is a funny graphic. Being a parentpreneur in general is hard, but being a parentpreneur with the kids tugging at you all day during social distancing, to me, is like being a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. It's just hard to do. Any good meeting is going to have an agenda. So the agenda for our meeting today is we're going to discuss some general parentpreneur tips, and then we're going to have some specific tips about how to effectively be a parentpreneur during social distancing, again, with the children tugging at us and having to do homework and entertain the kids. It just adds another level of complexity. So I have some good tips here to help us manage all that. And then I have a bonus tip for you for those who stick around on how to get national PR for your startup. And you'll see why I'm doing that in a second here. And then finally, I really want this to be as interactive as possible. When we get done, I really am hoping that you guys will have some questions, some comments, some feedback. I'm really going to be interested in what's worked for you. What have you tried? What hasn't worked for you? If you guys have any funny stories you want to share, because we'll get into this in a second. I'll be sharing some funny stories along this parentpreneur journey. So really want you guys to engage and want this to be a session where we learn and share and grow from each other in addition to the tips that I'm going to provide for everyone, okay? And I apologize, I talk with my hands a lot. I think I must be Italian or something. I'm going to try to fasten them down, but sorry. It's like going into the camera, sorry. All right, so who am I? I'm the founder of WeMontage.com, the world's only website that lets you turn your digital images into peel and stick photo wallpaper. I'm also the dad of 7-year-old twins, Zoe and Thaddeus, who were born 3 months early and weighed only 2 pounds 2 days before I started a tech accelerator. That was a 2-hour drive, all while living in Wisconsin, which was 1,000 miles away from family. It's like, let all that soak in for a second. Like, that's a lot going on. That was the start of my parentpreneurship journey. So in terms of the business, here's a quick video montage that I want to show you just a little bit more about my business. I'm going to play this real quick. This is an example, and I pulled it back a little bit so you could see that it actually comes off the wall and goes back on the wall pretty effortlessly. And these are my beautiful twins, Thaddeus and Zoe, in the picture.
Oh, babies and boxing gloves. Those go great together.
The reason I included the boxing glove in this particular montage is because the kids were fighters. They were born 3 months prematurely, and when they were born, they only weighed 2 pounds apiece.
Speaking of gifts, yes, look at this. This is amazing. Removable photo wallpaper by WeMontage. This is like my highlight for 2014 for your images. I have this up on my living room wall. This is totally removable wallpaper. So think of college room, dorm rooms. Think of military rooms that you can't put nails in, or hallways.
So you create the montage you want in your computer?
You log online, you upload the photos, they do everything else and ship it to you.
Great idea.
$69 enough for
Right. Okay, what are some of the other creative options? There are a lot of other things you can do with the photos.
There really are. And we thought about going beyond just sticking a picture in a picture frame. So you can do art. We did large scale from WeMontage.com, which is removable photo wallpaper. So it's huge and you can just put it on a wall, take it down, move it around, really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a montage of the product. That first clip was me on CNBC's version of Shark Tank. It was called the West Texas Investors Club. And then finally, and you'll see why I'm sharing this with you in a second. So here's a bunch more media that I was able to get for the business. And the overwhelming majority of this was accomplished while I was working from home and, managing 2-year-old twins. So I just wanted to show you that to give you some hope that this is a challenging time, particularly with your startup, but you can really get some things done while parentpreneuring and social distancing and having the children in the mix. It's going to be a little more interesting, but you can get it done. Again, who am I? I'm a published author. I wrote this book to inspire millions of parentpreneurs around the world to be the best parent and entrepreneur they can be. And finally, I'm also a parentpreneur advocate. The book was the first step during the current pandemic crisis, just like you guys, I'm looking for opportunities because within every crisis, there's an opportunity. So during the pandemic, I started this foundation. I'm starting it to provide $10,000 grants to people who are parentpreneurs and resources to help them be better parents and other resources to help them grow their businesses and put money back in their pockets. One other really cool thing that I intend to do with this is to partner with retail corporations to give people a chance to pitch their products and get retail distribution because, as you all know, sales makes everything better. So if you're interested in this, you can go to parentpreneurfoundation.org, get notified when we launch. But so this is who I am. I'm a parentpreneur advocate, author, dad, tech entrepreneur, just like many of you guys. So I want to share some funny stories very quickly here. Back in the day, Remontage, we ran out of cash, and I had to work from home with 2-year-old twins in the mix. And this video for me is a brilliant reminder of that time. We were potty training the twins, and every 15 minutes, my daughter was yelling. She was pulling her pants off and yelling, "Potty!" So she could sit on the potty and flush it and see the lights flash and hear it go, "Yay!" And if you listen very closely to this, at the end, when the thing goes, "Yay," you can hear my daughter go, "Yay!" Right, that's my daughter. And then there was a time I was trying to send a cold email to a TechCrunch editor to get exposure for Remontage, and my daughter was mad the batteries in her toy weren't working. So I don't even know how I was able to get this on video. I don't even know how this happened. It was completely spontaneous. But here's this. So I'm sure some of you who have young children working from home, working with you, or at home while you're working, could relate to some of this shenanigans. My computer, my daughter, yes, as I'm trying to watch a video written by TechCrunch. Oh, for my TechCrunch writer. Yeah, this is awesome. Trying to send an email to a TechCrunch writer to get some exposure. Kids are not in daycare today, and this is what my daughter does. This is still helpful. Say hi, Zoe. Say hi. Hi. Yeah, exactly. So raise your hand virtually if you can relate to that experience. So one final funny story as a parentpreneur when you grinded on your startup and you got kids in the mix. I was waiting on a morning show TV segment to air in Minneapolis. And it was about ideas for graduation parties. And the business was supposed to be included. I would always record the live streaming of the segment and edit it for immediate social sharing and marketing naturally, right? But this time, my daughter was actually being really good. She was playing with her iPad and she hadn't said anything about potty. And even though I could see her diaper was sagging a little bit, about 30 minutes into the TV show with the segment airing, I decided to be a good dad and change her diaper. I thought this would be safe since TV shows will usually give you a preview of upcoming segments, right? So I put my laptop on the fireplace mantle, near the changing station, which was over here, and proceeded to change my daughter's diaper. I kid you not, 5 seconds later, the graduation party segment was on the air without any notification. I'm like, holy crap. What am I going to do? I got a naked baby on a changing station, and I'm not recording this segment. So I fastened her down, those little changing pads. They had these little fastens or buckles or something on. I don't know. I fastened her down, climbed over the gate that kept the twins from mucking around in the changing area, grabbed the laptop, put it at my daughter's feet on the changing station, and just prayed she wouldn't kick it off while I was recording the segment and changing her diaper. But thankfully, I got her diaper changed. She didn't kick my laptop down, so I didn't lose my laptop. And I recorded the segment. Again, these are probably stories that a lot of y'all can relate to, if you have young kids and you're doing your grinding thing. I see somebody, story from Louisville says, her frustration, yeah, this happens to me all the time. Exactly, with my daughter and her toy and battery. You get it, exactly. So I want to talk about what are some of the normal challenges that parentpreneurs have. Like, forget about the coronavirus. Like, there are some unique experiences and things that we as parentpreneurs have to deal with that other people simply don't have to deal with. So, one of them is, how to be sufficiently present. And how do you effectively be mentally present and aware of the needs of your spouse or partner and kids when grinding on your startup? How do you take care of your mental health so you can be a good human, parent, and entrepreneur? And money, money is important, right? How do you effectively provide for your family while grinding on your startup? So I'll talk a little bit about this here in a second. In terms of being present, so I'm just going to share some things with you that I have that have worked for me, and some other really smart people that I've engaged with. If you have some other things that have worked better for you, when we come to that toward the end of the presentation, I would love to hear that from you guys, so you can share with us, and so we can all be more effective as parentpreneurs. But in terms of being present, I think we have to try to be mindful of ourselves and others around us. And one other thing that can help with that is honest communication with your spouse or partner. You can ask, for example, how am I doing with being present? And if you ask a question like that, you got to legit want to hear the answer. So you got to listen to the answer to the question. I think that type of feedback from somebody who knows you like that can really help you be more mindful. And in terms of mental health, I think mental health is everything. I have a great shirt I like to wear, this mindset over everything. Therapy can be really great way to give yourself the tools to manage yourself more effectively. And one of the things that therapy can do, it will help you identify triggers, so that you can be aware of what things people say and do, or what events, what will trigger an undesirable response from you. And then there's meditation. For me, 15 minutes of meditation can work wonders. Some people like to exercise. That's great. But 15 minutes of meditation is great. It's the one thing for me that keeps the anxiety monsters from turning my stomach to a pulp. And finally, this goes back to what I was talking about, honest communication a second ago. Like, trust your spouse or partner if you're married or in a serious relationship with someone. This is huge because your spouse or partner knows you as well as you do, or better than you do in some instances. I see my buddy Leonard McReynolds there. I bet you know that Jennifer knows you better than you do, right, Lenny? Yes, it's not. That's right. Exactly. That's right. So when they tell you what they're seeing about how you're doing mentally, you don't take that feedback personally. Just listen. Listen. Lenny's shaking his head. Yeah. Listen and adjust accordingly. They have your best interest at heart. They're not trying to get you or to subvert you. They have it. Just listen and take the feedback to heart and adjust accordingly. Right, Len? It's not. That's right. That's right. As for money, the one piece of advice I would have if you're working on a startup is don't go all in on your startup without some way to make money. Right? If you are one of the fortunate people and you get funded for your startup, that's awesome. You can pay yourself a salary. You don't have to worry about it as much. But if you have you're working on this thing on the side, try to get a side hustle if you can to make some money if you want to work on this business. Because the reality is, it is probably going to take you 2, 3, 4, 5 times longer or more than you actually think to actually start generating reasonable revenue so you can pay yourself. And if you, in terms of getting a side hustle, listen, I understand that it's harder now to get a side hustle with the virus in play. We have to be more creative. If the virus wasn't around, you could go drive Uber or Lyft. It was something that you could do. I've done that before, But obviously it's not an option right now. But be creative, but just don't go all in, because money or lack of money, is one thing that can really put a strain on your relationship with your partner or spouse. Leonard is nodding his head, yes, yes, yes. By the way, the tips about your spouse are really important, because if you don't have the support of your partner or spouse, either the relationship will fail, the business will fail, or both will fail. And I'm not telling you something that I don't know. That's a fact right there. All right. So what are some of the unique problems we're facing here as parentpreneurs during social distancing? Yep. So we're parentpreneurs, right? It's the coronavirus, and we got kids. And they are home from school, and they still got to learn. And guess what? We got to teach them. And we still got to get our own stuff done. Yeah, so that's a problem. Cabin fever. I totally get that. We can't get out of the house, but we still need to find time to engage with others and do the stuff that we like. Kids driving you crazy. Oh yeah. Well, that's a tough one, because that's just that's just what they do. My kids are 7 years old, and people are like, oh, how the kids doing? Oh my God, they're driving me crazy. They're doing great. That's their job, right? But I might have a bonus tip for you for this one on the next slide. And then finally, is your spouse or partner driving you crazy? I don't know. Well, some would argue that that's what they do too. What you say about that, Len? Yes, he's not about that. I'm gonna tell Jennifer what you said. I know her very well. I'm tell her. Okay, so here's some of these solutions. I really found some great tips on the site Career Mom Community. I'm just gonna drop that link in the chat for you guys to check out at your leisure. But one of the things that they talked about here I thought was really good. Schedule. Scheduling is really, really important, but how effectively and how you schedule will depend on the age of your kids. Naturally, this is going to be different if you have babies versus if you have toddlers or older children. So, if you have babies and toddlers, you can work while the toddlers sleep, right? Every couple hours, the kid's going to take a nap. He's nodding because he got a baby Zuri. He's a couple years old. When the kids are sleeping, you can get some work done. And you have to plan the times to teach them and feed them. What's also important is to coordinate all this with your spouse or partner, if you have one, so you guys are tag teaming on the same page here. Now, if you can do this, you also want to try to plan your snacks and meals for the week. I'm not that organized. I'm thinking like a couple of days at best, just because my brain cells, I don't know, I don't have as many as I used to have before I had kids. But just do the best that you can. You also have to schedule time for your kids' learning. Like for me, I know the kids get up, they have breakfast, they might watch a little cartoons, and then at 10 o'clock, I work on my daughter. We have lunch. After lunch, I work on my son. And then after that, it's kind of free play time. So routines. When the twins were young, routines were everything. Routines were the way that I kept my sanity, honestly. So, routines are actually more important now, I think, when working from home. Len, is that true for you? Yes or no? Do you not? Routines? No, not so much? Yes? No? Anyway, he's not paying attention. I don't know what you're doing, Len. Anyway, but the point is, you got to do what works best for you and your family. Make time for yourself. Me time, you time, got to do it. It's very important here. Making time. Communicate with the kids if they're old enough that you're going to be spending time for yourself. Like the next 30 minutes, daddy's going to be doing this. Next hour, mommy's going to be doing this. And if they're old enough, they may be cool with it because they understand that when you're done with your time, their time with you is coming. So this will help you not only with the kids, but it also will help you with your spouse or partner if they're driving you crazy. Get yourself some you time just to get yourself back together mentally and then jump back in the mix. A dedicated workspace. I think this is really important if you have the space to do it. I understand not everybody has this ability. Glenn is not approval over there yet. Create a little home office space for yourself, right? Keep it uncluttered, keep it organized. When you sit down at that space, that's your work. You change your mindset, is your focus, you're getting your work done. But interestingly enough, I think the same thing if you can do it for the kids. If you have like a designated space that when the kids go in that space, that triggers for them, all right, this is work. There's no Nintendo Switches, no tablets, no iPads. This is we're getting our work done. get them in the right frame of mind. This will be helpful if you have the space to do it. More rules for how to effectively parentpreneur with social distancing, or more solutions, I'm sorry. Give the kids rules, man. Like, listen, if they're old enough to understand, don't touch my computer. You touch my computer, you might draw back a nub. Right? So give the kids rules, because, and don't waver. Be consistent and don't waver, because like sharks with blood, kids can smell weakness in the water. In the case of my kids, those jokers kind of play off each other. They try to play against you. Be consistent. Don't show any weakness. Let them know who's the boss, man. Got to do it. Also, I think it could be helpful and important to be opportunistic, because depending upon what time your kids get up, maybe you can get up an hour or two earlier and get a bunch of work done. Like right now, my kids are finally at the point, they're 7, where they're sleeping in till 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, hallelujah. It used to be before, they would get up at 6 a.m. I don't care what time they went to bed. It's Saturday, Sunday, they're kicking the door open. Boom, Daddy, we want pancakes. It's 6 o'clock Saturday morning. I'm like, dang. But so if your kids are sleeping in a little bit, be opportunistic. Look for opportunities to be effective with your time and getting your stuff done. Be flexible. This is a process, and you and your kids and me and my kids, we're all trying to figure this out. This is unusual. So if you're trying something new and it's not working, don't be afraid to switch it up. Find a different approach if something's not working. But the key thing is, in terms of being consistent with the children, it's important to communicate any changes with them to help them manage their expectation. Now, naturally, this is going to depend on how old they are. Does that make sense, Len? Make sense? Yes? Yes. All right. Very good. Thank you. Len is my official, he's letting me know how I'm doing over here in the corner. All right. So have fun, man. I know this is challenging with the school and the work and the cabin fever and all that, but best you can, try to have fun with the kids. So in my case, after they're done with all their schoolwork, later in the day, I might go in the backyard and play catch with them. Or I let them come upstairs and play Xbox. I have Xbox One for them. So I always look for some great Xbox One digital games to download for them that they can play. So, this is going to all depend on the age of your children, but experiment. Try to have fun if you can. Like, we will get through this eventually, but we got to find ways to cope here now. And that's what we're talking about right now. Support. Talk with your friends who are in similar situations. Right? Find out what is working for them. Vent your frustrations with them if you need to. And this one is one of my favorite ones, grace. Like, be kind to yourself and be kind to your children, because, we're all going through this together. And I know some people, like, in terms of homeschooling, oh my God, I can't, my kid's going to fall behind. I can't have my kids falling behind. Well, they're falling behind with all the other kids around the world. We're all falling behind together. So really, nobody's falling behind. All the kids and parents are dealing with the same thing globally. So just do the best you can. Like my school, my kids' school, they have all this stuff to do. And, I'm a part-time single dad of the twins. So, when I have the kids, it's just me trying to navigate. I'm playing, two parents, two kids playing man-to-man defense. Me, I'm playing zone defense when I got the kids. So I'm just doing the best I can with what I have, and I'm just trusting that, like, everything is going to be fine. So give yourself some grace. Don't try to be such a control freak, because you're just going to run yourself into the ground. Finally, this is a bonus, wine. I used to have a glass of wine after the kids went to bed. That recently changed to when I started homework in the evening. And now with the Rona, as I call it, the Rona, I have a glass of wine after lunch. Yes, I do. Thank you. That works for you? You can do that too? You don't like that one, Len? No? He's laughing. All right. So I want to talk about this one too. And I'm gonna drop this link in the chat, because I think this is really important right now, given so many of us are working from home and doing what we're doing right now on a Zoom. So it's important for the obvious reasons. And I found this great article on Harvard Business Review And so I just want to share some of the tips with you that I found here. And this first one I'm actually failing at because, like I said, my memory is terrible. So I have my notes here for this presentation. So I'm not making great eye contact. But if you're talking and presenting in a Zoom conference for work, make eye contact. Focus on the camera. Direct eye contact is a great way to reinforce your point. I know it feels a little weird. I'm trying it right now. Is it working? And a strong voice. A strong voice conveys authority and confidence. So speak a little more loudly if you can. Speaking more loudly with a strong voice will help keep you from mumbling and speaking too quickly, unless you're like me and from New York and can't slow your pace down no matter how hard you try. I've tried for years. It just doesn't work. Sorry. And focus on having your head and shoulders primarily in the frame. Don't be too close, or don't be too far, or don't have a bad angle where people can see up your nostrils. Be present. This is really, really good, I think, because if you're on video, some of you are muted now, but some of you on video, I can see I see y'all doing. I see y'all not paying attention. She laughing. That's right. I see y'all. So, but people can see what you're doing. If you're doing things like checking text messages and checking email, people can see that. And if somebody spent a lot of time working on their presentation, they might take offense to that. And, we don't want to unnecessarily offend people. Muting yourself is obvious, but also turn off the video if you're going to do something that will be distracting. Oh, and drinking. Drinking is cool. But no chewing. Like, nobody wants to see that. Don't be chewing on Zoom video. Who's that laughing down there? Somebody's laughing. Who's that? Anyway, so if you're presenting and have links to share, so use the chat box as an appendage, like I just did. I sent you guys 2 links that you guys can review at your leisure. Just drop the links in the chat. All right? So bonus tip. 3 tips to get PR. The reason I did this is because in the beginning, I showed the montage and those media hits that we got, all I accomplished while I was working from home. And whenever people see that or hear about those things, they always want to ask me, wow, that's incredible. Like, how did you do that? And I was able to get all that done on my own without the help of a PR professional. So I just wanted to share with you 3 tips that I learned over the years. So if you have a startup, I've gotten over $100,000 in sales from these PR tips I'm going to share with you. So feel free to copy these if you have a question. If you after we get done with this chat, I have my contact info at the back. You have something that you want to send to someone, and you just want to set up eyes on it to see what you think. I'm happy to look at it for you. So number 1, you got to figure out who's writing about your space. So one way to do that is you can use resources like Press Farm. I think it's press.farm. And I think it's about $18, $19 a month. They have a database of reporters and their contact information, which you can use. Somebody's noise there is not muted. Who's that? What's going on? I'm going to mute everybody here. Mute all. All right, sorry. All right, just had to mute that because I was hearing some noise in the background there. So use resources like Press Farm to figure out who's writing about your space. And then when you get the writer's email address via Press Farm, or you can use this other free tool called Contact Out, which is a free tool that lets you scrape email addresses from LinkedIn profiles. This is super sneaky. I actually used this a couple weeks ago to email Oprah Winfrey and her assistant. I sent a wee montage to Oprah with pictures of her. She did an event with Michelle Obama, and there's pictures of her, Michelle, Barack, Gail, and some other people. So I got that and I sent that. So I actually emailed with them now. It's not Oprah, but her assistant does respond. I'm waiting for Oprah to get back to me. But anyway, so you can use a tool like Contact Out to get people's email addresses off of LinkedIn. It's remarkable. It's free. And I would say about 70% of the time, maybe 80, there's an email address that they can get for you that you can then send an email. So once you get the email address, you got to know how to send a cold email. This is really, really important because nobody's checking, nobody's answering their phone if they don't recognize the number. No one's checking their voicemail. Like, I don't check my voicemail. You call me, don't bother leaving a voicemail. I just don't check it. People communicate asynchronously. Like, email is one way to do it. So you got to know how to send cold emails. In my book, I wrote about how a cold email got WeMontage featured on CNET.com. And we got about $7,000 in sales from that back then. And actually, he reached out to me 2 months ago, and he did a refeature of WeMontage on CNET.com. So sending cold emails, it works. You got to add that to your marketing quiver, the cold email arrow. Got to have it. If you want to try something out, again, my email is james@wemontage.com. It's at the back of the deck. I'm happy to take a look at it. Somebody reached out to me yesterday about their pitch. I was happy to help them with that. Not a problem. And finally, this is one that most of you or many of you watching already know if you're in the ATV community, and that is to build a community before you need it. I mean, Kelly's probably nodding right there. Before you need it. ATV is great community, Atlanta Tech Village. And this matters because when you engage with people regularly and give to that community regularly, when you make an ask of people, they're more likely to help you. And sometimes people in those communities have media contacts, and they will share those with you and make introductions for you. So I see these questions popping in here. I'm going to get to this in a second here. So those are my tips for how to most effectively be a parentpreneur during social distancing, as well as some general tips for how to most effectively be a parentpreneur during non-social distancing. So I really, at this point, I want to, if you guys have questions, comments, feel free to unmute yourself. And what's working for you, what's not working for you, were these tips helpful? Did you want me to drill down on something else? Like, let's go. I want to hear from you guys. What's going on? Questions? Leonard, Kelly, who's got a question? Earl Camp, I see you. Who's got a question? Nobody. All right, so here's one. Any tips on how to build a cold email that actually gets a response? I've been emailing, sending a lot of cold emails the last week and a half. And if I send 100 cold emails, I'm expecting to hear back from 10 people. That's it. I mean, 10%, I think that's pretty good. If you do, other things, you get like a 1% response rate, right? I think that's pretty good. It all starts with having a really great subject line, something that would make them want to open the email. You can Google great subject lines. Also, if you use MailChimp, when you go to start a type of subject line, it's giving you some suggestions, some tips on how to, in terms of number of characters, number of emojis, exclamation points, etc. But Google how to write great subject lines. That's great. Another one is in terms of the body of the content. Make sure you drop a link to your website or your product. No bad grammar. Be short. Understand what it is this person does and covers. Make it relevant to that. Be very clear right up front about why they should care, why your product or service is remarkable, because people will write about things that are remarkable. If it's not remarkable, nobody is going to care. So here's another comment. We are playing the new Final Fantasy VII remake as a family after work. That's story from Louisville. That's what's up. That's right. You play things together. I'm playing Xbox Marvel Superheroes with the kids and all these other games we play together, play with the kids. So Derek Felton, thanks for the contact out tip. Absolutely. Anybody else got any questions? Hey, Kelly, any comments from you? Kelly?
Sorry, I was trying to get to the unmute button. No, I'm good. You're super thorough. Thank you.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, I think that if nobody else has any questions going once, going twice, third, we're done. And so let me just put my contact information here. Here's my contact info. If anybody has any questions, you want to take a screenshot of that, feel free to hit me up on IG, Twitter, send me an email. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.
Thanks. We appreciate you.
Yeah, take care. Bye. God bless.